Ukraine's European allies is on now in Paris. The French President Emmanuel Macron is hosting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and 24 more heads of state. That summit aimed at boosting Ukrainian security ahead of any potential ceasefire with Russia to end the over 3-year war. Those security guarantees could include the possible deployment of military forces by a so-called coalition of the willing. We're going to talk more about this with France 24's Clovis Casali, who's at the Élysée Presidential Palace. Clovis, over 24 heads of state and government there today. Tell us a bit more about what actually could come out of this summit today.
Indeed, over 30 delegations that have all arrived here at the Élysée Palace for meetings to discuss, of course, Ukraine, and the President Zelensky of Ukraine is here also. This is all about how to best help Ukraine in its war against Russia with the Russian aggression, of course. How to best help Ukraine, because defending Ukraine is defending European security. And this is also a way to get together in this coalition of the willing. It's the term used by the Élysée Palace. Worth pointing out also that President Emmanuel Macron spoke to Donald Trump, the US president, ahead of this meeting a few hours ago. That's what the Élysée Palace tells us. It's done in full transparency, in collaboration, in a way, with the US, even though we do know, of course, that the US have their own agenda, talking directly to Russia in these efforts to try to reach a ceasefire. And the word ceasefire will be used a lot today at the Élysée Palace, because participants here want to build a long-lasting ceasefire, try to bring about peace at some point. And there is this question of the so-called force of reassurance. It's not necessarily a peacekeeping mission, but it would involve sending European boots on the ground. The UK, France and others are willing to send troops, not necessarily to fight Russian forces, of course. They don't want to get involved in the war, but they want to be able to be some kind of deterrence force and make sure that if there is a ceasefire, well, it is respected by Russia. But then you've got some countries, of course, that are not willing to take part, or who would like to keep their own troops on their soil in case of another Russian aggression, namely Finland and Poland.
Indeed, there are these very different points of view on sending these troops to Ukraine. I mean, talk us a bit about how that's going to be discussed.
Well, it will be a stumbling block between all participants here. As I said, Poland, Finland would like to retain their troops on their own national soil, whereas other nations, France, the UK, even Australia, because this is not involving only European nations. You've got other countries involved. You've got a representative from Turkey. You've also got the boss of NATO, Mark Rutte, present here today. Of course, many European nations also want to make sure that there is this backstop, this US backstop, that President Trump will support, defend his traditional allies, the Europeans, in case of a Russian aggression.
Clovis, thank you for that. France 24's Clovis Casali reporting from the Élysée Presidential Palace. We'll be checking back in with you throughout the day.